Good Erev Shabbos, everyone. Parshas Ekev, and we're the Shabbos after Tu B'Av. This Shabbos is also Chaf of the 20th of the 80th yard site of the Rebbe's father, Rav Levi Yitzchak Schneerson. And so to tie an idea together, based on the Sikha, the Rebbe's talk that we learned this morning from 1951, the Rebbe spoke on the yard site of his father. And we know the Parshas Ekev is the Parsha of Eretz Yisrael. And we also learn over there that Moshe Rabbeinu talks about the man that the Jewish people have. And he says that the man is a food that your father didn't even know, meaning your parents. This is not even the Avos, the forefathers. They didn't have a connection to the man. But this is something that Hashem gave specially to the Jewish people while they're in the desert. And we know that in the Birchas Hamazon, like the Alter Rebbe talks about this week in the Kutei Torah, that there's the different blessings we make in the blessings after we eat the bread, after we eat that moitzi. There's the first bracha that Moshe Rabbeinu made, Azanas HaKol. Then we have Noidel Echad, that was a bracha that was made by Yehoshua. We have Boni Yerushalayim by David and Shlomo. And we have Hatov Umeitiv, that was actually connected to Tu B'Av when they were able to bury the dead after the story of Beitar. And in Alter Rebbe is an amazing thing, that the first bracha is about the man. That's Moshe made, about the man. That's Lechem min Hashmayim, bread from heaven. And the second bracha is from the bread, that lechem min haaretz. And we know that the difference between lechem min hashamayim and lechem min haaretz is that the bracha that comes down from heaven, the man was so powerful that it wasn't even connected to the shviras hakelim, to the broken vessels. That we know that bread has in it a power that a person needs to eat bread. If you don't eat bread, you can't live, because hidden in bread, in food, is the power of the world of chaos that comes from before the breaking of the vessels. That's tremendous light and is able to even sustain a human being that seemingly is higher than the bread, but really the bread comes from a higher place. Therefore, a person needs bread to sustain themselves. But the man comes even from a higher place. Before there was even the potential for the breaking of the vessels, that's a kind of unity that all the energies in a single vessel, akut b'kli echad, gathered in a single vessel. So the man comes from such a high place that there's no avodah, there's no work that has to be done, because in bread in the world, because it went through the process and it went through the broken vessels, and there's sparks, and it's part of the klipa, part of the permissible that has to be worked and elevated, so it's dependent on our work. And therefore, when we go to Eretz Yisrael, we start to live the world, we start to engage in worldly things. So like the bread, we have to elevate it, and we need the Torah, we need the bris, we need all the things, the 13 attributes of mercy, all the components that help us elevate this world. And therefore, in Shabbos comes Shabbos, when everything, all the purpose of creation comes together. So then we put two breads on the table, because the two breads represent the lechem min hashamayim, the man, and the lechem min haaretz, the earth, the bread from the earth. And we show that all our avodah, everything's for one purpose, that we have energy that comes beyond us, and we have energy that we're given, that we're able to be powerful to affect in this world. And this connects with what the Rebbe spoke about on the yard of his father. The Rebbe speaks that after Tu B'Av we have tremendous power. We know that Tisha B'Av is the destruction of the temple, and Yom Kippur is also the connection to the idea of the completion of Matan Torah. We get the second Luchos, and so we know that the marriage between Hashem and the Jewish people's connection is an idea of like a love, like Matan Torah, and the building the Beis Hamikdash is God's great joy. So when we rebuild on Tu B'Av, when we start building up from the destruction, and on Yom Kippur, when we complete the mistakes we made after the giving of the Torah, to make the marriage, that even though we, so to say, we served the idols, we went to go serve the golden calf, but we fixed it, and we were able to get, like Moshe Rabbeinu talks about this week's Parsha, Vayem Hashem Salachti K'dvarecha, God forgives the Jewish people with the ratzon, with the desire, as if they never sinned. And therefore, so we're able to elevate from the ground, like Tu B'Av, we're able to elevate from Tisha B'Av to the 15th of Av. And the Rebbe says that's why in Tu B'Av, the girls went out and they dressed in white. And the Rebbe quotes an amazing idea, that there was two opinions, that they didn't want to use their own clothing, so they shouldn't offend someone who didn't have. But the question is if they asked from someone who was above them, or they asked from someone who was beneath them. And the difference is that when you ask for someone who's above you, it's as if you need them. If you ask from someone who's beneath you, so it's not so embarrassing. But at the same time, if you take from someone who's above you, it may be embarrassing, but it's an elevated clothing, and therefore you could reach higher. And there's actually a disagreement between the Babylonian Gemara and the Jerusalem Gemara. And the Babylonian Gemara says no, that you do with something, you focus on what you could do right now. Right now, it's going to be easier for you to borrow from someone beneath you, you borrow from someone beneath you. The Jerusalem Talmud says no, but because if I borrow from someone above me, so even though right now it's uncomfortable, but eventually it's going to work out. And that's like the difference between lechem min hashamayim, lechem min haaretz, bread from heaven and bread from earth. That we have to ask ourselves when you engage in another person, so is the focus us? Are we looking for something that we're going to gain, and maybe we're ready to find what's the best for us and wait it out, and maybe find the better clothing, a nicer clothing from a more special person? It may be a little embarrassing, but we may be elevated. Or we look at any opportunity we have to do something, to fix something. And the Jerusalem Talmud, that's kind of an elevated space, says, maybe look out for for what's your best interest right now in the long term. But the Babylonian Gemara, which represents a Jew in Gullus, says any opportunity you have to help someone, every opportunity you have to influence someone, even if it's someone beneath you, engage in that person, engage and find the spark and elevate it. So really, that's the idea coming together with the idea of the two breads, of if we're talking about lechem, bread from heaven, which is above us, or bread from earth that falls beneath us, but we have the ability to elevate it. Wish everyone a good Shabbos, and we should be here with the Rebbe's father, with the Gilul Mashiach, the Koren.